Hi everyone, my name's Katelin Bean, and I'll be doing my newspaper presentation on a well-known reporter from the Central Valley named Scott Smith. First, I will be going over a timeline of his life. His journalism career started when he graduated from Chico State with his master's degree in English. He then volunteered for the Peace Corps and worked as the country director for international news in Uzbekistan. After a couple of years of doing that, he moved back to California and worked for the Stockton Record for about 10 years. After his time with the Stockton Record, he got a new job working for the Associated Press, which is a very famous international news network. And he was located out of Fresno, where he reported on Central Valley issues. After that, he landed the job of his dreams, where he was now the Venezuela correspondent for the Associated Press. So that meant he lived in Venezuela for 3 years and reported on the country's turmoil and downfall under the dictatorship reign, while also working with Nicolas Maduro, who is the president of Venezuela. And he would construct breaking news stories that he said would be future history book content. So although he had a lot of really interesting stories from his time in Venezuela, I'll actually be highlighting one of his stories from when he worked at the Stockton Record, and the story is called The Speed Freak Killers. So the Speed Freak Killers is a serial killing duo made up of two men, Lauren Herzog and Wesley Shermantine. The two men were serial killers that are believed to have had up to 18 to 20 victims, and they took their victims' lives primarily in the San Joaquin County area, but they're suspects in murder trial cases all throughout Reno, Utah, and New Mexico as well. So their spree lasted mainly from 1980 to 1999 when they were both arrested. And the way that Scott Smith works into this story is that in about 2010, Herzog was let off for parole, and so Smith went to the jail and interviewed Shermantine. And during his interviews with Shermantine actually disclosed where a lot of these bodies were buried. And once Herzog kind of heard of that and heard what was going on, he actually killed himself because he didn't want to go back to jail, since he knew Shermantine would be disclosing a lot of their burial sites and blaming it a lot on Herzog. So Smith, during all of his interviews with Shermantine, was able to get a map that Shermantine drew, hand-drawn for Smith, only for Smith, because for some reason, we don't really know why, but for some reason, Shermantine just really trusted Smith, so he told him everything. So they were able to get all of the burial sites, of which victims were buried where, and they were actually able to dig up the remains of 5 different victims. And during those excavations, they were able to just get about 1,000 bone fragments, and they also dug up a woman's purse, a woman's pair of shoes, and some woman's clothing. So that was a huge success for Scott Smith, as he was able to work tirelessly reporting and writing letters to Shermantine, and Shermantine was writing letters to him, and he interviewed Shermantine multiple times at the San Quentin prison, and he was able to get all of this information from him that was really able to help a lot of these families. So this is a picture of Smith right here, and then Shermantine right here at the San Quentin jail. And then this is a picture of the hand-drawn map that Shermantine drew specifically for Smith. And so Smith's work in this investigation of burial sites was really able to help the community out a lot, because it was able to bring closure to a lot of these families. I believe there was 5 of them that lost their sisters, their daughters, important women in their lives to these serial killing victims. Now, the way that this message really relates to me is that Scott Smith is actually my uncle, and unfortunately he passed away about 3 weeks ago due to brain cancer. And so I'm really doing this to honor his life and really show the success that he had, and how he went from a small reporter working for the city to an international correspondent working in Venezuela. And so no matter where he went, whether he was working for Stockton or Venezuela or anywhere in between, he always was known as a reporter for the people. He was never doing it for any self-gain. He was always doing this to bring hope to people in desperate situations, no matter what the situation was. He always just was there for the people no matter what. And so I think that's what's really beautiful about the legacy that he was able to create for himself. Thank you.